It's only a game. Why you have to be mad?
What's up? Welcome, and I hope you're having a good Wednesday, and welcome to the team selection video for my channel FPL Today. This is where we quickly go over how badly I did in Game Week 3 and look towards Game Week 4, what my team selection and lineup will be and what transfers I'm considering making. So let me know in the comments down below what you're thinking of doing for Game Week 4, as well as if you want to support the channel, of course hit that like button and subscribe. I hear good fortune is in store for those of you that do hit that like button and subscribe, so you should do it. So the game week average overall for game week 3 was actually 43 points, which shows what kind of low scoring goal week it was. So if you had any good player or any captain that returned a decent haul, you probably are looking at quite a nice green arrow. So congratulations to all of you that have done well in this game week. I am unfortunately not one of them, as we take a look at my side and we cry a little bit inside. 41 points, to be fair, isn't too bad when the average is 43. It's not ideal, of course. We are now on 177 points thanks to that, and we're just under the million mark. And as you can see, we didn't have many good performers. In fact, let me challenge myself to think of different ways to describe how some of my players did. Seiss, non-existent. Foden, disappointing. Kevin De Bruyne, underwhelming. Burke, actually better than most of the underwhelming performances. Martial, not Rashford, not Bruno Fernandes, not good enough. And finally, Timo Verna, who was so wide he might as well have been on the bench. Disgusted. But apart from those performances that were very disappointing, there were some underlying factors here. Podence didn't start because of an injury, and he would have been in the place of Burke. I don't think it had made any difference to the Wolves-West Ham game, though, really. And Taylor and Mitchell wouldn't have made much of a difference unless I brought either of them on for Seiss, and it would have made very little difference to my game week anyway. But the good performers were Martinez in goal. He does look like a great goalkeeper now at an Aston Villa side that look like they might have something to them this season, although, of course, their next game is a difficult one. Lamptey, again, the pace on this kid. He gets forward and he won another penalty, so he got an assist, despite the fact that Brighton conceded multiple times. Trent Alexander-Arnold getting an assist. Unfortunately, it was to Andrew Robertson, which meant Robertson was probably the better pick, and to be fair, he does look the better pick on the underlying stats as well at the moment. Salah also got an assist. Again, he's not Mane, so there's still caveats even with the players that scored good points. And DCL missed the consistency, however, he didn't get bonus points, so it's only 6 points from DCL, which means my highest point scorer was Trent Alexander-Arnold with 7 points. Disappointing, but we move on. So who is at the biggest risk of being transferred out? And that man is Timo Verna from Chelsea. Now, he does have Crystal Palace next at home. I personally don't think that's the greatest of fixtures because Palace do look like they have something about them and are at least decent defensively. So I'm not too sure that I need to hold Verna any longer, and I'm kind of waiting until Chelsea have the likes of Ziyech and Pulisic back and that team settles, because they've been very disappointing so far, and Verna has been just as disappointing as his team is. So he's at risk because I feel like the Chelsea side needs time to gel, and they need to get new players into the side. Timo also seemed to be pushed out wide for the game against West Bromwich Albion, with Abraham leading the line. Don't like the looks of that in particular. Like I said, key players are missing from that starting lineup. He's had no goals in 3 game weeks, and there's alternatives with good fixtures. So that is the main reason he is under consideration. Of course, the players I'm looking at to bring in for him are starting off with Harry Kane. Now, Harry Kane did have a good game week despite only getting an assist with the underlying stats. He actually had the most shots out of any forward in game week 3 and has had a decent amount of shots in the first 3 game weeks with 12, 7 of which have been on target, with 10 coming from inside the box and 3 big chances. His XG is at 2.13 and he's only scored 1 goal, so I expect him to get back to some goal scoring ways, although the injury to Heung-min Son is worrying. We then also have 8 key passes played and 5 big chances created. Of course, 4 of them are going to be the passes he made to Heung-min Son in game week 2, but still, that is great creativity from Kane, which isn't something I'm used to seeing. He's had 5 assists. So Kane, despite being a player that I thought I wouldn't be looking at all, is someone I am considering. The next player we're considering is Raul Jimenez, because Jimenez has some absolutely fantastic fixtures coming up. In the next 4, he has Fulham at home, Leeds away, Newcastle at home, and Crystal Palace at home. So 3 home fixtures out of 4, all of them good fixtures, with Fulham and Leeds particularly looking tasty, although Leeds did, of course, put in a better defensive performance in game week 3. However, he has just come off a West Ham game where he didn't score, which isn't ideal, but the stats are still there to suggest he should get some sort of return, with 10 shots, 9 from inside the box, 4 on target with 3 big chances. We're also looking at Danny Ings and Shay Adams, who both face West Bromwich Albion at home, which is a tasty fixture, of course. But after that fixture, it is Chelsea away, which, to be fair, doesn't look that too bad a fixture anymore. Everton at home, Aston Villa away, Newcastle at home. So a bit of a mixed bag in comparison to Wolves. Shay Adams does have an assist and 4 key passes to Ings' only 1, and also has created a big chance, however, and does come in at 5.9 million to Ings' 8.4, which could see me be able to move to maybe a more expensive midfielder like Bruno Fernandes in the midfield. Ings and Adams have both had 6 shots on goal. However, Ings has had 5 on target to Adams' 3, both 6 from inside the box, and both have had 3 big chances. But of course, Ings has scored 3 and Shay Adams have scored none. So we move on to my Game Week 4 team selection, and we start off with the goalkeeper and defence. And we're going to have Martinez in goal because, of course, we do have Steer as our backup goalkeeper. That is a Liverpool at home game, which isn't the best, but hopefully we can get some save points out of Martinez, and he was picked for the long haul. In defence, we have Saiss against Fulham at home, a lovely fixture there, with Trent with Aston Villa away. Again, if Martinez does concede, hopefully Trent and, of course, Salah can get involved. And then we have Charlie Taylor with Newcastle away, again, hopeful of another clean sheet in this fixture. I'll be watching very closely to see how Wolves do perform in this game because their performance against West Ham was very disappointing, and I'm hoping for a bit more from Trent to suggest to me that it's worth keeping him over Andy Robertson for the season haul. As for Taylor, this is his debut in the starting 11, and Burnley are just a side that we're going to hope tick over and get a few clean sheets whenever they can, but it's mainly Saiss and Trent Alexander-Arnold that I have high hopes for in this game. Then we move on to the midfield, and the reason we loaded up on Man City midfielders last game week was because we were hopeful of a good performance against Leicester City, and then they lost 5-2, with De Bruyne and Foden not being involved in either of the goals that Man City scored. However, they do now have Leeds away, and I'm hopeful for a high-scoring game similar to the likes of the Liverpool-Leeds game from the beginning of the season, with De Bruyne and Foden getting involved in the goals. We then also have Salah against Aston Villa away, which we're hopeful for points from, and Podence is hopefully going to be back, but we may have to consider moving him to someone else, which isn't the ideal transfer for me right now, but he does have Fulham at home, so again, hopeful of points in that game because Fulham looked woeful defensively against Aston Villa. Salah, of course, is the player with the most shots in my side at the moment, but only has 5 shots on target, which is 2 less than Calvert-Lewin and the man I'm considering bringing in, Harry Kane. He's had 13 shots inside the box, only 1 more than Calvert-Lewin, and has only had 2 big chances compared to the likes of 5 for Calvert-Lewin and 3 for Kane and Raul Jimenez, Ings and Adams. However, with expected goals at 2.32, that is only bettered by the likes of Calvert-Lewin, so we're hopeful for goals still from the man, but he hasn't been able to score since game week 1, which is a little bit of a concern, but he is still getting some decent underlying numbers, if not blowing away my other options. As for Kevin De Bruyne, although he has had 1 less game, I am looking at his numbers and I'm a bit concerned with only 1 big chance created in 2 games, with 9 key passes, which is decent, but 0.84 is a bit low for Kevin De Bruyne out of 2 games. His XG, however, is at 1.52, which is a plus, but we're really looking for a better Man City than we got against Leicester. And then Podence, we're just hoping he starts really, and if he does start, it is against Fulham. And then up front, we have one of my heroes for the season, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, against Brighton Hove Albion at home. Again, this could be a very open game. Brighton Hove Albion look very good on the attack, as do Everton. Very interesting in this game. This actually looks like it could be a great game of football. And hopefully DCL is in the right place at the right time to continue his run of returns in every single fixture he's played in. We then have Werner, who is the one that is most likely to be transferred against Crystal Palace at home. And we have Martial with Tottenham Hotspurs at home. If I was to take a hit and it wasn't to include Podence, Martial could be the one I get rid of because I'm starting to think in this season just go with the penalty taker, and Bruno Fernandes is the man on the penalties, so that would seem like a wiser move than having Martial, who I did prefer as an option at the beginning of the season, but VAR and the handball rule have started to change my mind about that. Also, in 2 games, Martial has only had 2 shots on goal, with 1 from inside the box, and has had no key passes or big chances created, which is worrying. I know it's only 2 games worth of data, but still we expect more from a leading striker at Man United. And apparently, Man United are linked with the likes of Edison Cavani and Luka Jovic, so I'm worried about his place in the starting lineup, or if he's going to be put out wide, and I don't really think he thrives out wide, so Martial is a bit of concern for me as well. Werner's numbers don't actually look too bad, but they're not as good as Dominic Calvert-Lewin's, of course, but 10 shots on goal, 3 on target, which is a bit low compared to most of my team, 9 from inside the box with 3 big chances, so I'd have expected him to have scored by now with that many chances, but Calvert-Lewin blows him out of the water. 12 shots, 7 on target, with 12 from inside the box, which is what I love to see, and 5 big chances with 5 goals. So with Dominic Calvert-Lewin up there, I don't feel like I necessarily need Timo Verna and Martial, so they could go down to the likes of Ings and Jimenez, freeing up cash for elsewhere, or could even go down to a Shea Adams or someone in that price bracket, maybe a Callum Wilson, not have such high expectations, and then bring in a Bruno Fernandes in midfield. Yes, I'm thinking about bringing a player that I got rid of, just like I was thinking about bringing in Son that I got rid of last game week. And finally, we have the bench. It starts with Steer, of course, who's just there as a backup to Martinez. We've got Lamptey against Everton away. Doesn't make the starting lineup just because I feel like there won't be a clean sheet in this one, so I'll be relying on an attacking return. Burke against Arsenal, and then Mitchell, the last pick, with Chelsea. Although, to be fair, I could see Crystal Palace keeping the clean sheet in that one, so Mitchell might take Burke, and maybe even Lamptey's place, as the first sub, because he's been on my bench every single time he's scored points. So he's probably even more likely to score points if I've got him on the bench, and maybe he can come in for Podence. Who knows? Anyway, guys, let me know in the comments down below what players you are picking or thinking of transferring in, and how your side did in Game Week 3. Hopefully, you guys did better than me, because we want to see you all succeed here on FPL Today. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel to support me in the content I'm making. And hopefully you've enjoyed the new layout and design of the channel. And hopefully I've not made any mistakes, because I know I'm prone to that. Anyway, guys, I've been J&O. This has been FPL Today. And remember, it's all about the game.